So Totri, we're talking JT today, right?
We are.
Yeah, I love Rock Your Body, Sexy Back, Mirrors. I mean, I think it's about time that we talked about JT.
We're not talking about Justin Timberlake, Eric.
Oh, Jordyn Tyson.
Happy Tuesday!
Hey.
It's a Tyson Tuesday here in the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by my partner in crime. Of course, we got Erik Ruby. We've got Manny the Woolbrecht behind the Mac.
That's the nickname?
Just making it all happen behind the Mac, pushing the buttons, beeping and booping. Guys, do a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. The road now to 50K subscribers, wow. Mr. Rubus.
What happens first? Jordyn Tyson gets drafted or we hit 50K?
We hit 50K. Yeah, we hit 50K before that. But Jordyn Tyson definitely will get drafted. That is on the docket for today. Jordyn Tyson, a special talent at Arizona State, widely considered a top 3 wide receiver in college football. What does that mean for the expectations for Arizona State's number 1 wideout this season? Also, some Big 12 news. Brett Yormark, he got a new extension. We'll be talking about that at a certain point in today's show. And then some quick little hitters on ASU football, a new transfer. Also, one of the staples along the offensive line had maybe his best day that he's going to have prior to the actual season starting. So grab a snack, a drink. I tried to combine a sneak.
Grab a sneak from Circle K
and get ready for one hell of a show. Put on a hoodie. We got rainy day vibes.
It's a hoodie type of day today.
Are you before we get into all that stuff? Are you big like rainy, cloudy weather, overcast energy?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm so pale. It's like this is my.
It always comes back to your paleness, man.
Most things in my life do.
They come back to you being pale.
I was playing some music before the show. Very calm, very chill vibes. Yeah, I like it. For me, I'm banking all these days that we have that aren't like 120.
Yeah.
Because I feel like last year it was like early April when things started really getting hot. And so we're in May, and I'm wearing a winter fit, so I'm feeling good about myself now.
I love it. What about you, Noah? Are you a big overcast, rainy day vibes kind of guy?
More of a sunny day kind of guy.
That's why he moved out here.
I like it. I like it now.
Yeah, now
because it's not every single day.
Yeah.
There's just something about a Tuesday that just like you need to have a little bit of rain.
This is sorry, I was gonna make a Suns reference just because Brian Gregory's getting introduced as GM today.
That's why
the world is not happy about it.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so we've talked Suns. We've talked Justin Timberlake.
We're not going into Suns land today. That's for you to deal with a little bit later on. We're residing in Tempe today, talking Arizona
Thank
State.
God.
Right. There are a lot of beats here at PHNX that I think wish they could talk about Jordyn Tyson and Sam Leavitt. And maybe the Cardinals will get to at some point down the line. But Jordyn Tyson, the reason I wanted to bring him up today, first and foremost, PFF, they did their top 10 wide receivers going into this season that are going to be draft eligible next year. Jordyn Tyson being atop that list as the number 1 wide receiver that should be draft eligible, potentially the first wide receiver off the board in the 2026 NFL draft, which I'm not sure off the top of my head if there's ever been an Arizona State wide receiver to be the first wide receiver selected in an NFL draft. Obviously, you've had guys like N'Keal Harry get drafted. You've had guys like a Jalen Strong go to the league, Brandon Ayuk. Like there have been a number of Arizona State wide receivers that find homes in the NFL and have really solid careers. But Jordyn Tyson, for me, Erik, is kind of unlike any of those other guys because it felt like Strong, Harry, and even when you look at Ayuk, these were guys that had really, really good seasons at Arizona State, really good careers. But I can't remember any of them going into a year the way that Arizona State is going in this year with as much that, in terms of success that they had a year ago. You're returning a guy in Sam Leavitt who's expected to be a top 5 quarterback in college football, another projected first-round pick. Like, everything is in place for Jordyn Tyson to do something really magical this year.
Absolutely. I feel like with him specifically, a lot of national people, and I know that, projected and all of that, I think some people understand, but when you talk about like the best players in college football with just casual college football fans, I don't think his name would come up, even though I think it should. And part of that has to be because he ended the season on the sidelines last year. And he didn't get to play in the Big 12 championship game, didn't get to play in the college football playoff game. And I don't think people fully associate him with that Arizona State team like they do a Cam Scadaboo or even like they do a Sam Leavitt because they saw them play on such a national level. And so with Tyson, that's got to be a little extra motivation. The fact that he sat on the sidelines and he saw this play out, he saw the team do really well without him and then saw the team desperately need him against Texas. And knowing that if he was there, this team could have made a run, right? So mix all that together. You have somebody who has so much talent, who's projected to be the first wide receiver off the board in the 2026 draft, is probably the most potent offensive weapon in the Big 12, and has a chip on his shoulder because he was on the sideline at the end of last year, and he wants to make up for that. He wants to be there for his guys. So I think that just like how there's still some motivation lining up for ASU, whether it comes in the form of people doubting that they're going to continue to be good or that they're just going to regress or whatever it is, I think individually Jordyn Tyson can walk into the season with something to prove after having one hell of a year last year.
Yeah, I think there are a number of things that Jordyn Tyson can really prove to people this year. And I think in terms of NFL draft stock, before we get too far into what we expect him to do like this season, I think something that's going to be big for him and his future NFL career is proving that he can play a full season.
That is probably the number one question about him.
He goes down in an Arizona game where at that point the game was already over. You brought up the fact that he missed the Big 12 championship, not necessarily as missed as he was in that college football playoff game against Texas, but dealing with the collarbone injury at the end of last season. Missed the majority of the season prior, still rehabbing from the knee injury that he suffered the year before that at Colorado, right? So there does need to be a certain level of, okay, I can show NFL teams that I can play an entire season. Now, some of those injuries are freak injuries, right? The knee injury that he had at Colorado was a freak injury, and glad he's been able to recover from that and looks better than ever. The collarbone is another thing that, again, like, it's kind of a freak thing. The way he got tackled, unfortunate situation. And he was at spring football, practiced for a majority of spring football. We know he was kind of held out for certain team periods just because he rolled his ankle at a certain point. But overall, you do need to go into this year with that on your mind of like, hey, yes, I'm a really talented wide receiver, but being a talented football player also means that you're available in big moments.
It's a tough balance because you don't want him thinking about it. Yeah. You don't want him like going into the season thinking to himself, man, I got to stay healthy, right? Obviously, duh. So same thing with Sam Leavitt. It was the same thing with Cam Scadaboo last year. For any player that wants to be in the NFL, you need to be healthy to showcase your talents. But I feel like if you change the way that you play to try to avoid injury, you're probably just going to end up getting injured. So it's really tough because, he has to prove that, but he has no control over it. That's not something that he can wake up in the morning because everybody on ASU, most people that play football at this level, they take care of their body as well, right? They're not putting themselves in a position to get injured. And I think Jordyn Tyson is somebody where you look at how he's played and how he's taken care of his body and recovered from his previous injuries. And you know that he's not neglecting whatever you have to do to stay healthy. So it's not a him thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. If he injures himself again, if it's a lower body injury, Williams says the knee injury is more of a concern than the collarbone. Can't prepare for a weird hit that breaks your bone like you can train and work your tendons to strengthen them. If it's a break, that's one thing. If it's a knee injury, a lower body, hamstring, thigh, which, ow, that is something where NFL scouts will look at that and be like, okay, this guy's obviously good, but is he first wide receiver off the board good, that might be a risk considering where he's at on the field. But when he's on the field, there's so much that makes him special in how he plays. And the glitz and the glamour and the grabs and the yak and all of that, that's one thing. And we'll talk about that. I think why NFL teams are going to end up falling in love with Jordyn Tyson is his blocking film.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is a guy that can put up the insane numbers that we think he's going to put up this year, and also get down and dirty and physical and run block and do whatever you need to do to move the ball forward, even if he's not getting the ball.
Yeah, I think that's 100% valid. And this is a guy that when he came to Arizona State wasn't necessarily known for his ability to block on the perimeter. Not that it was a knock on him by any means, but there are a lot of Division I wide receivers that are like, hey, I'm here on the outside, catch me the ball, I'm scoring touchdowns, I'm getting first downs. I don't want to worry about the nitty-gritty on the outside blocking for running backs. But that's part of what led to such a successful season for Cam Skattebo on the ground, right? Is people are always going to give love to the running back and they're always going to give love to the offensive line. But at Arizona State, when you have a wide receivers coach like Hines Ward that puts such an emphasis on being able to block on the perimeter, like him, Xavier Guillory, Melquan Stovall, these are wide receivers that, yes, made talented plays and helped out their quarterback and scored points, but they really made life a lot easier for Cam Skattebo as the season progressed, right? So taking away the fact that this is a guy that can block on the edge for you, he can elevate the ground game, which I think you'll see this season with Kyson, with Kanye, Raleek, and the stable of running backs that reside in Tempe. This is a guy on the perimeter that is just a special wide receiver in terms of being able to go up, make ridiculous catches, his body control, making catches on the sideline, getting, feet down that would be good, not just in college, but catches that you could see score on Sundays as well. He's I don't want to say he's sneaky fast, but he is faster than I think you'd expect.
Quick.
He's quick. He's very quick, very agile. And again, he is somebody that, like, he runs really crisp routes. I feel like the only thing that you can really, again, minus the injuries, look for Jordyn Tyson to improve on this season is maybe just that next gear in terms of speed, right? I need you to be able to kick it into extra gear and run away from somebody. Not that he can't do that, but in terms of like a foot race, he's not the fastest guy on this ASU offense. That's not necessarily his game. So I think he can have a marvelous season if he doesn't get faster, but him throwing in that extra level, that extra gear is going to make this offense so much more of a problem for Big 12 opponents, for non-con teams. It's just the one piece of his game that it's like, it's great, but let's get to the all-star level where you have a badge on 2K or whatever.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I definitely think he could improve in that sense. I think something that we saw from him that he struggled with a little bit early last season was moving forward after catching the ball.
Yeah.
I think he fell a little bit too in love with trying to make somebody miss and make a play, and he would end up catching the ball. He'd turn around and be, I can run to the other side of the field. I see an opening there, so he'd run backwards and do that. And I think that kind of didn't fix itself over the season, but you saw him do it less and less. It was funny because in those games he would do that, and then he would go and make some crazy play and would make up for it afterwards. And I remember being like, dude, run forward.
Yeah.
Forward. But what we saw from him last season was, I feel like, consistent improvement throughout the year. And timely touchdown grabs as well. Somebody who was able to step up and make big catches in big moments, which takes a special type of wide receiver gene.
Yeah.
As much as I would love for him to get that extra level of speed, there might be a limit there because of his previous injuries. I know he's done a great job of getting back physically to where he needs to be after that. But maybe it caps off where his top speed is. But he still is so fast in the sense that he's fast in his quick twitch movements. You say he runs crisp routes. He uses his speed in that to make somebody miss, to get initial separation, and then know what to do with that. I think that got better for him as the season went on. So if he can prove that he has that extra gear, great. If not, I think he's still going to be putting up insane numbers. And part of that being Sam Leavitt is going to spread the love this season. I know that they have a lot of weapons, but there's going to be a clear number one. The same way that there was a clear number one last year in Cam Scatterbo, where it was, hey, we have Jordyn Tyson, who's an awesome weapon. Hey, we have Shimon Matier, who's first team all Big 12 weapon. We have a deep wide receiver room that we didn't even really need to tap into until later in the year. We have a running back room that has DeCarlos Brooks and Kyson Brown, and Sam Leavitt can use his legs. And we have all these offensive options. Cam Scatterbo was still finding the ball a vast majority of the time. And so I think that's going to be the same way with Tyson, where the love's going to be spread around, but it's going to be more so everybody else is going to be eating off of the attention that he grabs, and they're going to be used as countermeasures. Well, he's that security blanket that's just getting fed targets.
So do you think Jordyn Tyson, on that same token, is going to have like a Cam Scatterbo-esque type of year? And maybe not necessarily in numbers where you do just like the most ridiculous things in the world, but in terms of like, hey, this is our clear number one guy. We're going to force you to try and stop him. And if you can't, then we're just going to let Jordyn Tyson feast.
I actually think he's going to put up ridiculous numbers.
You do think he's going to put up ridiculous numbers?
I thought about this because initially I was, he's not going to put up that much. There's so many other weapons, and I think he's going to put up ridiculous numbers this year.
And this is a guy, 75 catches, 1,100 yards, and 10 touchdowns a season ago. He goes over in every category.
I think he drastically gets more because he did that. When you think about it, the beginning of the season, he was fine. He wasn't great. His first 100-yard game was against Texas State. That was a big breakout game for him.
6 catches, $120, and a touchdown.
Right, and that was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. You have to think to yourself, Cam Scatterbo didn't only just take away touches because of the run game, but also in the passing game as well. Sam Leavitt. Let's throw the graphic up. Throw that graphic up. The first half to second half of the season for Sam Leavitt. Oh, it's beautiful. Shane's not here, so it will be thrown up on the screen. The thing with Leavitt is, as he became more comfortable, you saw him take some deeper shots downfield, and it also felt like we weren't just waiting for the Jordyn Tyson game. We were waiting for the Jordyn Tyson deep ball moment. I think you're going to see a lot of those deep balls this year, and he's going to be extremely efficient with his catches. And maybe I'm just really high on him right now, and as we get closer to the season, I'll mellow out.
I think that'll be the opposite. I think if you're high on him now, I don't see you mellowing out by the time we hit August.
The first 3 games will set the tone for sure, because if the first 3 games it goes out, and I know they kind of started scat slowly last year, but the first 3 games you go out and he's not getting fed targets the way that I feel like he's going to be fed targets, that I might change my mind. I don't think that it's because the rest of Arizona State is incapable of making an impact on offense. I do think that if he's healthy and he's out there, he's a big play threat every single second that he's on the field, and I know Sam Leavitt wants that.
Oh, 100%. Will in the chat saying ASU is going to have 2,000-yard receivers this season. Well, look, I know you brought up the fact that you think Jordyn Tyson improves his stat totals from last year to this coming year in 2025, 2026. I'm interested to see the exact totals that you have compared to what I have him for
yards
this season. We will get to that, I promise, on the other side of this quick break. Got a message for all Sun Devil fans in the chat and all of the ones listening on audio as well. Don't miss your chance to meet an ASU baseball legend, Jeff Larish, at Lone Butte Casino on Wednesday, May 7th. That is tomorrow.
Whoa.
Again, Wednesday, May 7th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. over at Taste Kitchen, again, at Lone Butte Casino. The first 70 guests are going to receive a free Jeff Larish bobblehead. Make sure you get your photo and meet a true ASU icon. Not to mention, again, that's only a couple hours, right? So you can still enjoy everything that Gila River Resorts Casinos has to offer you, whether you want to make some money over at the sports books, maybe the gaming floor, heck, maybe you want to stay the night in one of their rooms. Well, look, Gila River Resorts Casinos, they got something for everybody. You do you over at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
big news from Sanderson Ford as they just announced from America for America employee pricing. Now you pay the same price as the owner of Sanderson Ford on the full lineup of new Fords with no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense, and of course, no added markups. And on top of employee pricing, get additional Ford incentives on over 1,000 vehicles during the Sanderson Ford Platinum 70th anniversary sale.
Love it.
That's right. They're celebrating 70 years and choose Sanderson Ford because they also have an inventory and a track record of treating you right. Now is the best time to buy a new Ford from Sanderson Ford with From America for America employee pricing. And in celebration of their 70th anniversary, stop in, get a pair of tickets to an Arizona Diamondbacks game just for stopping by. No test drive required. Exclude 2025 Expedition, Super Duty, Raptor Family Mustang, and Bronco specialty vehicles. One pair of tickets per household with valid driver's license to July 6th game versus the Kansas City Royals while supply of 200 tickets last.
Guys, we tell you every single day, but go sign up to become a PHNX diehard. It's really not that hard to do, and it's not that expensive
Really?
either.
It's not super difficult?
It's not super difficult.
What do I have
it's
to
not
do?
going to cost you a lot of money. Well, all you got to do this with me.
Okay.
Okay, go PHNX.
Okay, can you spell that for me?
Yeah, GOPHNX.com.
Can you spell that for me?
COM.
Okay.
Beautiful. And literally just hit enter from there, right? We don't even got to put anything else.
Enter. Okay.
And then
this is a nice website.
Great website.
Oh, there's my face.
Love that. You see the little Die Hard tab up top there in between merch and about?
Yeah, it says Die Hard on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Click on it.
Come on.
I need to teach you how to use your laptop? Or
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, you're there. It's going to tell you everything that you unlock when you become a PHNX diehard. So again, for Rubus here and for everybody else, you're going to get exclusive diehard only content. You're going to get a free t-shirt or hat every single year, including when you sign up. 20% off merch, 20% off events, and you're going to get access to that diehard Discord, which for ASU is always popping, but there's diehard channels for Cardinals, Suns, Diamondbacks, Wildcats. The list goes on and on and on. Again, head to gophnx.com. Prove your fanhood by becoming a PHNX diehard today.
Yeah, I mean, man, that was really easy.
It was super easy.
I might have to do that twice.
You might have to do that twice. Get 2 diehard memberships.
Ooh, I can make a fake diehard account. I don't know. Everybody on Suns thinks I'm B calm, C clearly. So,
goodness.
We'll see.
There you go. That's the new slogan. Glenn says, so easy, Erik can do it.
So easy, and Erik can do it.
Guys, make sure you hit that like button and you hit the subscribe button as well. And if you're listening on audio, drop a 5-star review.
Do it.
You get your podcast. Rubus, you kind of teased it. You feel that Jordyn Tyson is in for a somewhat historic season, better than he had last season. Again, just to recap, in 2024, Tyson had 75 receptions, 1,101 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. What do you got in store for Tyson this year?
Well, I think he goes up. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I have 85 receptions for him, which is a pretty significant uptick. I have about 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. Touchdowns is the thing that doesn't take the biggest jump because I do think as a goal line weapon, you've got so many. I think Kanye Udo is going to be a goal line.
You think so?
Machine.
I'm here for it.
Machine. But my thing was I went and I looked at, and this is gonna make some people laugh. I looked at T-Mac stats from last year, and T-Mac in an awful situation put up pretty similar stats to this. And I think Jordyn Tyson in a wonderful situation. I think this is his ceiling for me personally. I think he could have a super impactful season with less catches, less yards, less touchdowns, and still be the number 1 receiver off the board. But I just think this guy is going to eat like me at a buffet.
I mean, he's going to feast for 85 catches, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. If you could only pick one of those categories where he goes up, and I feel like it's kind of an obvious answer, but I could be wrong. Where do you feel like you're going to immediately see that
yards
jump?
I think it's yards. I think there's a chance that receptions is lower, but yards still goes up for him just because I think he's going to be a little bit more efficient with his catches. And the speed and everything, I think he'll just hit another level. William says 80 receptions, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns.
Yeah, so Glenn says I'm going more touchdowns, less yards, because then it means Leavitt is spreading the ball We'll also throw in Jaron Hamilton's stats: 60 catches, 1,050 yards, 4 touchdowns.
We'll 1,000 yards from Jaron Hamilton, we're winning the Natty. Genuinely, if Jaron Hamilton gets 1,000 yards, we're winning the national.
We'll definitely do our season totals for everybody when the season inches just a little bit closer. But this is what I've got for Jordyn Tyson in 2025. Not as drastic as a jump as you do.
Wow,
83
so
catches,
Jordyn Tyson.
83 catches, 1,250 yards, and staying put at 10 touchdowns. I think 10 touchdowns is a reasonable ask for a guy who had 10 a year ago. Now, he didn't score through the first 2 games of the season against Wyoming, Mississippi State. I would expect Arizona State to have a very similar non-contract record of beating up on some of those opponents. So I don't expect Jordyn Tyson to play a ton in those games. And then you look really throughout the final stretch of games for Jordyn Tyson, what he did: 8 catches, 9 catches, 12 catches, over 100 yards in every single one of those games, 3 touchdowns through those 3 games. So I think he does get an uptick in catches, but I do feel because there is, I think more spread out offensively in terms of weapons. Jaron Hamilton, Jalen Moss. I think the tight end room is going to be taking some of those catches. And then, of course, you've got, pick your poison: Kyson Brown, Raleek Brown, Jason Brown, Kanye Udo. You have a ton of weapons there, and then I think Sam probably uses his legs a little bit more this season.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Sam's rushing touchdown total, not to get off track, is going to be pretty significant this year.
Yeah, I can 100% see it. And again, I think if he puts up those numbers, 83 catches, 1,250, 10 touchdowns, he's still the first wide receiver off the board. He's still a remarkable leader.
Depends on how he does it. And I don't think he's going to walk, ass backwards into this and just go, oh, wow. He's going to be impressive. It's going to be a lot of eye test with Jordyn Tyson because we might all be too high. He might put up less.
I'm sober right now.
He might put up, well, me too. But he might put up less yards. He might put up a similar stat line to last season.
This is assuming he's healthy.
That's also true. I did it in mine. I assumed that not only did he play, I assumed he might have been playing some extra games at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well,
like he should have been this past year.
There you go. That's a good point. I didn't sprinkle that in on my prediction at all.
When you look at his stats from last year, you also have to think to yourself, he could have played 2 more games.
Yeah. And the tear that he was on, he had 29 catches, over 400 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns in those final 3 games.
Mm-hmm. And the way that they were carving up Iowa State's secondary, I'm not trying to take anything away from these guys, but Malik McClain and Melquan Stovall and Xavier Guillory were feasting because they were playing great. If Jordyn Tyson were out there as well,
if he would have played those last 2 games, and again, this is a guy that had 29 catches, over 400 receiving yards, and those 3 touchdowns in those last 3 games. Let's say he plays in that Big 12 championship and he plays in the college football playoff. What's his stat line through those 5 combined games instead of the 3?
I would probably give him 150 yards receiving and a touchdown against Iowa State.
And like 10 catches maybe?
Yeah, so do 10 catches for 150 and a touchdown. And then Texas would be probably significantly lower.
Yeah.
Give him 5 catches, 90, and a touchdown.
So we're talking about a
15
ridiculous
15 catches, 240 yards, and 2 touchdowns added to this, which means that he would be 90 receptions on the season, 1,340 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And that includes Game 1 against Wyoming, 4 receptions for 49 yards. Game 2 against Mississippi State, 2 receptions for 7 yards.
Week 4
against Texas Tech, 2 receptions for 33 yards. Week 5 against Kansas, 6 receptions for 76 yards, but 2 touchdowns. You look at some of these individual stats and consider the fact that he's going to be more comfortable. Sam Leavitt's going to be more comfortable, and he might play 2 extra games. He had 3 games with sub 50 yards receiving, 1 game sub 10 yards receiving. And he put up 75, 1.1K, and 10 touchdowns. His longest was 60, which I think he'll also break as well because that was against Arizona.
So just to put this in context here, you said he gets 85 receptions, right?
Yeah.
That would put him second all-time behind Sean McDonald for a single season
and
at
Sean
Arizona
has what, like
State.
87?
87.
Okay.
So if he would have had the 90 that you assumed, then
he would have broken that, which I think that's completely in play.
In terms of receiving yard, you said 1,400.
Yeah.
That would put him also second all-time in a single season at Arizona State, again behind Sean McDonald, who had 1,405.
Well, he might have like 1,400 and plus. I just did a nice round number, but yes, I get what you're saying.
And then receiving touchdowns, you had him at 12. That would put him tied for third with Steve Holden. Sean McDonald has 13 or had 13 in 2002, and Doug Allen had 14 in 1984. The reason I bring that up is because Desert Stro in the chat saying fully healthy put me down for 15 touchdowns for Tyson. That would break Arizona State's single season.
I think he could. I think he could break all three of those records.
I mean, that would be pretty ridiculous.
I absolutely think that's on the table for him. I think breaking all those records.
15 touchdowns, by the way, would also put him tied for second all-time for an Arizona State career in terms of receiving touchdowns.
I think he can break every single individual season record from a wide receiver in Arizona State history. I think that is 1,000% on the table for Jordyn.
For a season or for like...
For a season.
Not for games individual.
Well, okay, so what, you're going to nitpick me here?
I'm not nitpicking you. I'm just saying.
He might. I think he could.
One's crazy.
Tell me the individual game ones.
Ron Fair in 1989 had 19 catches in a single game. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, his high was 12 against Kansas State.
Which is still tied for sixth all time, but 19 is a ridiculous task.
19's a lot.
And I don't think Arizona State's going to be playing in many games this
and
year
those are,
like that.
Again, Jordyn Tyson's not going to be getting a lot of screen passes and stuff like that. He might, but like that's a lot of short range stuff.
In terms of receptions, he could. Maybe that throws him in there. In terms of single game receiving yards, Ron Fair had 277 receiving yards.
That's got to be the same game.
Yeah, it's
got to be the same. Imagine those are different games.
He had 19 catches for 277 yards. And then touchdowns in a single game would be 4. A number of Arizona State players.
I think he could tie that.
Sean McDonald did it twice, once in 2001, once in 2002, and then John Allen did it in 1953.
I think that's the most breakable one.
A single game touchdowns?
Yeah, the other two are.
I don't know if it's breakable. I think you could tie it.
Well,
5 touchdowns is a ridiculous amount of touchdowns for one individual.
Come on down.
I mean, yeah, they could if they really just wanted to beat up on Low Bro, like they could just throw it, but there's no point. Right? There's no point in keeping Jordyn Tyson and Sam Leavitt in that game.
A hot start for Leavitt and a hot start for Tyson, and I guess a healthy Leavitt as well. And playing a full season, there's no reason that this kid can't break multiple records for this school.
I think he could definitely break single season records, put him in really good standing in terms of careers overall. Some of the single game records are pretty ridiculous. Not to say that he's not talented enough to do it. I think he certainly is, but I think more of that just depends on the games in and of themselves. So we'll ultimately see as that season gets closer and closer. Again, for those of you just joining us, this is what Erik thinks Jordyn Tyson's season could look like in 2025. 85 catches, 1,400 receiving yards, and of course those 12 touchdowns, 12 trips to the end zone definitely bodes well for the Sun Devils. And then I've got Jordyn Tyson coming in at just 83 receptions, so 2 shy of Rubas here, 1,250 yards, 10 touchdowns. I will say I didn't necessarily include those extra games at the end of the season. So
let's say hypothetically they're playing at least one extra game. You'd have them.
They're playing in a Big 12 championship.
You'd have them
game.
about 1,400. That's 150 more.
It depends who they play. I'm putting him at 1,300, let's say 87 catches and
so you're
11 touchdowns.
You're predicting a Jordyn Tyson stinker in the championship game.
Oh, my gosh.
You said
one extra game.
That's what you just said.
You said one extra game.
That's what you said.
You said one extra game.
You just said that.
Oh,
you just said that.
Look at him. He's putting words into my mouth here. What are we doing?
I didn't do anything.
What are we doing?
Having ourselves a show.
We are having ourselves a show. You know what that means, though, when we have ourselves a show?
I don't.
It means that we also need to have ourselves a couple ad breaks in between.
I do enjoy being employed.
I know. I do, too. So we are going to get into the Brett Yormark extension, also some other fun stuff as it relates to Arizona State football, a new transfer, a new engagement, and more on the other side of this break.
Congrats, man. Congrats to me, actually.
Okay, congratulations, Rubus.
Having a great night last night.
Okay.
I had such a productive night last
Love
night.
that for you.
I built a table.
Congrats.
I went on a run. I did the dishes. I scooped the litter. I cleaned out a drain.
You were an adult.
I was an adult.
Wow.
And I deserved a treat at the end of it. And of course, that treat was pure edibles. Actually, half of that stuff happened while I was taking
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way you waited until all those things were done.
Listen, some of it, the run, the table, then afterwards, I said I deserve it because pure edibles are not covered in sugar like all their competitors, but they still taste good. They do offer sleep support. That was not the type that I dipped into last night, but of course, I did the bliss because I wanted to be blissful. And their unique blends of CBN, CBG, CBD, and of course, THC helped achieve that. Plus, there are so many other effects clearly listed on the tin, a local product. So go find yourself some delicious pure edibles products from one of your over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
Guys, it is somewhat of a gloomy, overcast day outside. Yes. So like I said at the top of the show, make sure you go get yourself some Circle K snacks, some drinks, and just enjoy the weather. I know I'm stopping at a Circle K on my way home, going to pick up an energy drink and get me fueled up for the rest of the day. And you guys can also, of course, fuel up your vehicles over at Circle K.
It's got to be expensive, though, right?
For somewhat of like a discounted price. And
really?
all you got to do is be an Inner Circle member.
I can save money
literally
on gas?
When you are a free member. A free member for Inner Circle, okay?
So the catch has to be you only get to do it like once.
No, you literally get to do it for the rest of time. In the first 5 times that you fill up as a member of Inner Circle, saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. And then from now until the end of time, you guys can save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Also, today, May 6th, big Circle K giveaway. Customers can enter to win prizes, cash, and more. Just visit CircleK.com/big giveaway. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
BDY.
Nice.
Big Daddy Yormark.
There you go. Big Daddy Yormark. This is going to be our little speed bump in between our Arizona State discussion, if that's cool with you.
No.
Because Brett Yormark did get an extension. Big Daddy Yormark, the Big 12 Board of Directors voted to extend the Big 12 Commissioner's contract for an additional 3 years through the 2029-2030 academic year, which just sounds disgusting to say that 2030.
Do you remember when like the 2024, 2025
Brother,
season?
I remember when
like,
it was like 2012.
Well, no, not. But like, you remember when you were like, "Oh, 2025, that's a made-up year."
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, hearing about
that's
sports and stuff like that. Oh, they're going to be a free agent, or it's the draft class of like 2023. That's not real.
Arizona State's offering players right now in the class of 2028.
That's not real. Like, that's not real. It's not real. I just start crashing.
It's gross.
It's not real.
The years they stop. They stop. This is a quote from Cher Livingston. On behalf of the Big 12 Conference Board of Directors, they are pleased to extend Commissioner Brett Yormark's contract an additional 3 years past the remaining 2 years of his existing agreement. Since Brett took leadership of the Big 12 3 years ago, he has been instrumental in guiding the Big 12's expansion to include new member schools and unifying the conference's existing membership. Brett's strategic thinking and creative initiatives have been vital to the Big 12's success, and we look forward to building on this momentum in years ahead.
So, all that's great. You said Cher Livingston.
Cher Livingston.
I thought her name was Cher. I was like, no way, somebody's name is Cher. That's the Big 12 board chair and Baylor president, Linda Livingstone. Sorry, Livingstone.
Did I say Livingston?
Yeah.
Did I say? Yeah, that's tough. Livingstone.
It's okay.
As I wrote it down, Livingstone too.
It's okay. I was like, whose name is Cher?
Cher Livingston.
By the way,
not a real person who did not say this.
Big 12 Media Day in Tejas.
In Tejas
this year.
Yes.
It was in Vegas last year, Glenn.
We will be going.
We will be going.
Be a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot of great content, as always.
Yes.
Let's hope that this trip to Texas doesn't involve phones being left.
And beds being shared?
And beds being shared. Yeah.
Anyway, Brett Yormark.
Big Daddy Yormark. Yeah. An extension.
Terrible move. Awful move.
You think terrible move?
Yeah, this is the worst thing this conference
did.
This is good. This is good. You want to have consistency of this position.
Stability.
And thinking back to last year's Big 12 Media Day to kind of bring that full circle and him really focusing on stepping into the future of the Big 12, always saying they're open for business, being ahead of the curve when it comes to expansion and TV deals and whatnot. It's been nice to have an entire year of covering this team and not have to worry about what the conference is doing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We have not once had to sit back and be like, what the hell is the Big 12 doing? What's the future of the Big 12?
How can we watch the Big 12?
Is this conference going to exist in a year? It's been nice not having that, and I think Brett Yormark understands the landscape. Big Daddy Yormark understands the landscape of college athletics, the fact that it where you need to be. William says prematurely extended commissioner ... Pac-12 vibes.
I disagree simply because Brett Yormark hasn't tripped over his own feet to this point the way that the Pac-12 commissioners have. Or I guess did at that point in time. Brett Yormark was moved very swiftly to secure a number of prominent Pac-12 schools, right? You look at Arizona State, a team that's already won 4 Big 12 championships in just the first calendar year that they've been here. U of A coming off their 10-win season in the Pac. We know what they bring in basketball to this basketball conference. Colorado, one of the rising brands with Deion Sanders. Say what you want. I mean, people want to watch Deion. So you obviously have that to the conference. And then you had a team in Utah in terms of football that year over year was one of the most competitive football teams in the Pac. So to be able to get those schools, while some of the other ones like the LA schools and Oregon and Washington dipped to the Big Ten, while you had schools like a Washington State and Oregon State kind of get left out, for Yormark to identify those schools, bring them on board, see how they fit within the conference. I think that was something that, a lot of people wanted to discuss the geography of it all, of like, oh, well, does this make total sense with not only the schools that they added from the Pac, but also the schools they added in the year prior, right? Cincinnati, UCF, BYU, how do these schools fit in? And I think so far, just from what we've seen, it feels like it's been a natural progression, natural fit thus far. Now, I think there are still some things that could be ironed out, right? The travel schedule for basketball and feels a little bit hectic. Baseball sometimes. But I think for the most part, it's been a really, really smooth transition for all these other schools that joined the Big 12 from their previous conferences. And a big part of that is because Brett Yormark has been at the forefront of this entire thing. I think he's very, very innovative. He knows what he's doing as a businessman. And I think being able to lock him down is really, really smart for a conference that is trying to compete with the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, and maybe it's a premature extension. Maybe. I can't tell you I know enough about this whole situation besides the fact that I feel comfortable with this. And I can be honest with you, I was never comfortable with the previous Pac-12 leadership. William says, the conference fell off a cliff immediately after Scott's first extension, came after the conference had a natty appearance and expansion with CU and Utah. That's why I make the comp. I just don't get that vibe from Yormark. I don't think that he is satisfied at all with where this conference
Larry
is.
Scott sucked. He was bad at his job.
I remember
George Kliavkoff
sucked.
Bad at his job. It's just simple. Like, it's very, very simple. And you can do this, I guess, with any profession. You could just, like, look at what, like, somebody's body of work, and you can be like, good at what they do, bad at what they do. Larry Scott, George Kliavkoff, bad at what they did, bad at what they do. That's the reason the conference fell flat on its face into a pile of Oregon State beaver poo. And then you look at the Big 12, Brett Yormark knows what he's doing, good at his job. Big 12 represented in the college football playoff. By, of course, your Arizona State Sun Devils. And again, like you said, I just feel comfortable with it. I feel like there's somebody in charge that knows what they're doing.
I don't trust people in charge. I don't trust commissioners.
You're against the big commissioner.
Fight the power.
Yeah.
But I don't trust Adam Silver. I don't trust Roger Goodell. I don't trust Rob Manfred.
But you trust Big Daddy.
I mean, how could I not? Again, he could end up, going too far in one direction or whatever. It's 2030 is a long time away.
Yeah.
At least it feels like until we get there. I'm like, hey, man.
5 years away.
Remember when we were in our 20s?
Or I guess 4.5 years away.
But
how old will you be in 2030?
I'll be 31.
Oh, my God.
How old will you be?
That just sounds gross.
Yeah, 31-year-old Rubus.
At 2031 or 2030 at the start of 2030?
At the start of 2030, I'll be 30.
be 30, which I don't know. Quick math on this. I'll be 5 years older than I am now. 32, I guess.
Some people are, I still feel like people get mad about my age.
You're what, 25?
26 now.
26 now? No, it's better than like Noah. Noah, how old are you?
25.
Oh, you're 25? Mm-hmm. Kevin's what?
Kevin's like
24.
6.
Kevin's 24, I think.
Yeah, he's like 4.
He's a child. He's a child in this office. How do you feel about Big Daddy?
He has no idea who Big Daddy Yormark is.
He knows exactly who Big Daddy is.
I think this transition to adding all these teams and stuff has gone better than probably the Big Ten.
Agreed.
But the Big Ten went through a lot of stuff with commissioners the last 4 years.
Yeah.
They've been all over the board.
That's why I feel like when you have, it's like a girlfriend. When you have a good one, like let's keep them in place here.
I mean, that might have been a great transition there. If you hit that a couple minutes later.
I mean, come on now. But it's simple, is it not? Like when you have, let's say George Kliavkoff, Larry Scott was like, ooh, it's a baddie, but like they got flaws.
Listen,
right?
I'll tell you what. I did not wake up today thinking Anthony Totri would call Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff
George Kliavkoff. They were baddies, but they had flaws.
They were not baddies.
They were baddies.
They were not baddies.
But they had flaws.
Larry Scott was not a baddie. I want to stand on that.
Okay.
On business,
they were flawed.
Larry Scott.
That's what I'm getting
baddie.
at here. They were flawed. Okay, so it was acceptable to go look elsewhere. And then here you are. You get to the Big 12. You pull up to Texas, and boom. You got Big Daddy Yormark.
You put a ring on it, got a championship.
Immediately, absolutely. Are you kidding me? This guy knows what he's doing. You'd like to have some stability. When you see a good thing, you keep it. You keep a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you have to transition into the next thing now.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. No, you set it up. You did this perfectly. You have to. Even though we probably should do that in still 5 to 10 minutes from now, I still feel like it's too perfect of a transition.
It's too perfect of
a
transition.
We might need to do it and then jump back into talking about Big Daddy.
Well, look, the Big 12 Board of Directors, they put a ring on Brett Yormark's finger for another handful of seasons. And Ben Coleman followed suit. The Arizona State center got himself a fiance. Woo! Love to see it. He posted this video on social media just yesterday evening. If you haven't seen it, or if you're watching or listening on audio, definitely head over to the YouTube and take a look. This is just a really awesome moment for one of Arizona State's cornerstone players this season. And again, congratulations to Ben Coleman. This is an awesome setup. Is this kind of what your engagement looked like?
No. No, I recorded it on my iPhone.
Oh, nice.
In the middle of the forest, basically.
Okay.
So this was not at all what it looked like, but this is very cool. You can obviously tell he's very happy.
Yeah.
Now he's got something to play for.
Yeah. A fiance.
A fiance.
I wonder, do you think we'll be invited to the wedding?
I've already been informed I'm the best man.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Even though I don't think I've ever spoken to him.
You've never spoken to Ben?
He's such a big fan of the show, but only half of it.
We've had Ben on the show a couple times, I think pre-Rubus. And he's been awesome. I think he's got a great career ahead. Beyond football, I think.
Hey, that's that NIL money rock right there.
The sports media world.
Tell
Shout
you
out the Sun Angel Collective.
The rock I bought.
Shout out the Sun Angel Collective on that.
I was not getting any NIL money at that point.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Again, congratulations to Ben Coleman, his fiance. Hit the like button for Ben Coleman's engagement.
Come on,
things you love to see.
Good for him.
You also love to see Arizona State adding another play in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Are we going to do 12 minutes of long snapper talk?
We're not. We're not going to do 12 minutes of long snapper talk. I'll be shocked if we get through 6. But Arizona State adding Marshall long snapper Cade Davis. He's transferring to Arizona State. Of course, Kenny Dillingham during spring football was asked kind of targets and that type of stuff, maybe needs. And he had mentioned that, hey, you can never have too many guys that know how to snap the ball.
It's
right?
True.
That's something that I think Arizona State could use. I believe he has family ties to Arizona State, which is always nice to see. And again, like we talked, I think, about this the other day when we were going on the whole recruiting conversation of like, you want Arizona kids, you want Arizona kids, you want Arizona kids. Well, this is like almost an extension of that, right? Being able to get a guy who's got those family ties to Arizona State. What? Huh?
That's a different Caden Davis. But
okay, there you go.
Sorry.
Your face confused me, and then I read that. And
my face should not have been confusing.
Yeah, that was. We don't need to get into that stuff.
No, we don't. I'm fine. I don't have strong takes about this. I would assume that he's going to be good at what he does.
Give me a strong take on the new long snapper.
Big 12 champions. This was the missing piece. Ben says, I've been saying since the end of the season.
You got it, Ben.
I want a long
Dilly
snapper.
heard you.
Listen, I'm sure it's a need that they had to be filled because there's no reason to bring him in if you didn't need somebody to do
Great
that.
mustache.
True.
Great mustache.
True. I don't think 6 minutes of long snapper talk is
I think we could do 6 minutes of long
Okay, then
snapper
give me
talk.
your strongest take.
Well, I don't think you need to have a strong take when it comes to this guy. I think you're getting an experienced player who played at a smaller school in Marshall, fills a depth need at long snapper. And again, this is a guy that when you are a position for Arizona State, when you look back to some of the things that could have been better last year, what's the one thing that everybody says needed to be better?
Special teams.
Special teams, right? So you're adding a piece to kind of a new puzzle in that special teams room. You obviously got a new kicker in Jesus who has looked marvelous to this point. Obviously, spring football is just spring football, so you take that with a grain of salt. But adding another piece to that, whether he is a starter or a depth guy, I think is certainly going to improve at least the competition within that special teams room. And that's something that, how many times have we heard Dilly say it? It's literally on his wall. If you want to compete harder than anybody else and have more fun than anyone else in the country, you do it here. And you're getting a guy to compete at in a room for Arizona State that I think could benefit from more competition.
Yeah, his dad is Richard Davis, a defensive lineman for ASU in the 80s. He spent time at Oklahoma
You said
State.
it present tense for a while, and I was like, his dad's currently on the team?
Currently defensive lineman. You didn't know that? You've been out of spring ball. He spent time at Oklahoma State, Hutchinson, which is a JUCO, North Carolina State, and then ended up at Marshall. Just was their punt team long snapper. So
he's got a hell of a jersey collection.
He does. Yeah.
Dude's been everywhere at this point, bringing it home.
I mean, definitely with the best one right now.
For Arizona State, absolutely. Are you kidding me? The maroon and gold coupled with the green that he's going to have from Marshall. Yeah, his home man cave when it's all said and done, when he's like 40 with his jerseys from college, are going to be elite.
A long snapper man cave, probably the best man cave.
Ooh.
Can we quick tier? Football player man caves. What position? Who has the best one?
Ooh.
I think
just football.
I think offensive lineman is one. I think
Okay.
top tier man cave.
Offensive lineman is one.
I would go quarterback too,
Okay.
because they got the ego to go with it.
You're giving me a top three?
I think long snapper. I think
three.
I think like a unique position. Like, hey, I was the long snapper.
What is it about it though that makes it such a dope man cave? Just like the position
It's
they
up to them.
played is just like,
I don't know.
okay. What do you think, Noah? What are your top three positions for man cave?
In my head, this makes sense.
I'm gonna go.
I believe that you think it makes sense.
I'm gonna go safety number one.
Okay.
Wow. Any reason?
They just got that dog in them.
They do got that dog in
It's
them.
true.
Some mean
Is
dudes.
there a dog in the man cave?
Let's go linebacker at 2 because I feel like linebackers can kind of switch around quite a bit, and then running back because running back's got that swag to him.
Yeah.
Glenn says wide receiver, no question. They love to brag and boast.
Yeah, I think.
No, wide receivers would just be like an all black room with a mat in the middle and a meditation like incense burning and all of that.
I think DBs or wide receivers have to be 1-2. And the only reason I say that,
friend's enemy is my enemy's
the only
friend.
reason I say that they're 1-2 is because when you're thinking man cave, you got to think not only their jerseys but the jersey swaps that they can do. More people want to do jersey swaps with like wide receivers and DBs than they do with offensive linemen. That's just the fact of the matter. So I think wide receivers and DBs are going to have more in their man caves. But I think in terms of like just a dude man cave, the trenches, of course, offensive line, defensive line,
backup center.
Yeah. There's not even going to be anything football related. It's just going to be like fishing and like basketball and like a pool table. Like that's what it's going to be.
Welcome to PHNX Sun Devils.
I feel like tomorrow's snake draft, we got to do like things in a man cave.
Things in a man cave?
Things in a man cave
I like
might
that.
be
Yeah,
like a
I'll
really
go with
solid snake draft.
Welcome to PHNX Sun Devils, where we talk about if Larry Scott was a baddie. And
he was a baddie with a problem, you know? He just didn't know what he was doing.
It was a toxic relationship.
It was.
Oh,
he was a sorority girl.
I wanted to I wanted to say something about Larry Scott. But
He's a baddie? Is that what you want to say?
No, that's actually never come to my mind. When I was covering ASU football for Cronkite, and for those who have been in the media room, this is a very niche story, but you have to walk up this really big hill.
Where are we?
Right.
At ASU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
ASU
else is
football.
there a really big hill?
Well, I was thinking if you were thinking of the hill.
Well, yeah. Like
the hill.
The
Yeah,
hill.
no, carry on.
Yeah. So I'm walking down from a game. I'm leaving. And some fan broke into that area and left a sign that said, "Fire Larry Scott."
In the media room.
In the bushes on like going down the hill, there's
Wow.
it's like plants and stuff on the side. He just put it there, and that's where all the media, everybody leaves, like a national everything. And it's just "Fire Larry Scott." And I remember taking a picture of it, and I thought it was hilarious.
It is objectively hilarious. The whole Larry Scott, George, the Pac-12 was just so.
Remember the Apple TV deal?
I don't want to talk about TV deals.
Dude,
there was a solid
that
2 months.
Sucked.
There was a solid 2 months where I felt like we were talking about TV deals every single day. And you can only talk about the same thing that's so uninteresting so many
TV
times.
deals?
Right? Like I could talk about this roster. Literally, if you gave me from today till kickoff to just talk about the roster, I could do that easy in my sleep.
That's
But
literally
I have no problem.
what we do.
Yeah, but if you're telling me to sit here from now until the end of July talking about an Apple TV deal that's never going to happen,
Were you pro Apple TV?
I was
deal?
pro leaving.
Yeah.
I was pro leaving. Again, I knew it. I knew it at the moment that baddie with problems, I gotta go. ASU has to go.
The Pac-12 a baddie with a problem.
The Pac-12 was a baddie. It was a baddie with problems. Tell me it wasn't.
It was.
Like, come on now. Like, the teams, think about the teams that you had in that conference and what they just accomplished nationally over the last 2 years.
Oregon.
Number 1 team in the country.
Washington.
Was in the national championship. How many first-round picks did the former Pac-12 have at quarterback?
UCLA has Nico, I'm going to leave you.
Yep.
USC had Bronny.
You had Bronny. You had Caleb Williams, starting quarterback for the Bears.
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr., starting quarterback for the Falcons. Bo Nix, starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Cam Ward, starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
That's actually crazy. Once you put all that out there, that is kind of crazy.
And people are like, "Oh, why did Arizona State go 3-9?" Well, they played all of these quarterbacks.
Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Back up to Dylan Gabriel on the Browns.
Practice squad quarterback on the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. And then Arizona State, yeah. I mean, it was a loaded conference at that time. So, you had
Trace Tinkle.
Was Trace Tinkle still there?
I don't know.
I feel like Trace Tinkle spent 30 years in college. Literally.
Well, his
at
dad
Oregon
definitely
State.
did.
Is ridiculous.
Did his dad get fired?
I think so. I don't think Coach Tinkle is still there anymore. Noah is just cracking up behind the
Do you remember his first name?
Tinkle?
Yeah, Coach Tinkle's first name.
Oh, it wasn't Tommy Tinkle, was it?
It was not Tommy Tinkle.
What did it start with? We could turn this into a game.
No, I think that might give it away.
You think? Do you have any guesses, Noah?
James.
No, it wasn't James Tinkle. Oh man, I really wanted to say.
I don't know if was he fired?
Tommy Tinkle.
Yeah, I think he was fired.
What about Terry?
No,
Terry
it's
Tinkle?
not in alliteration.
Damn. Terrence Tinkle. Tyrone Tinkle.
No, it starts with a W.
William.
No.
Walter?
No.
Walter Tinkle?
Wilbur.
No. It's Wayne.
Wayne Tinkle.
Wayne Tinkle.
Oh.
Man, what a show.
I didn't think we were getting into Wayne Tinkle discussion.
What a show.
Here we are. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, that one just kind of dribbled out with Wayne Tinkle.
Okay, then. On that note, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Give the show a follow at PHNX _Sun Devils.
Or a dislike, if you want.
I appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody being in the chat today. Will, Glenn, Sharon, Jacob, anybody else that I missed. We really do appreciate you stopping by here.
Desert Stro every
single day. We really do.
Christopher.
You can follow me at Anthony _Totri. You can follow Professor Oates here at Erik Ruby. That's Erik with a K. No, where can the folks at home follow you on social?
Wherever they want to.
Where no at. You're not dropping an at, are you?
I'm not worth the follow.
Not worth the follow.
No.
You heard it here first from
I agree
Noah.
with that.
Guys, we will see you
Just kidding. I love
on
you, Noah.
Wednesday. But in the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.